So I was going to do this post outside, but it's too windy and it would be distracting and you wouldn't be able to hear me, and it's too important. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why I am so focused on the ache. I've been a body worker, a person who's worked a lot in the healing arts. I've done a lot of hands-on healing. I've worked with healing of all kinds as an occupational therapist, as a minister, as a coach. And usually people seek out those kinds of services because they're feeling an ache of some kind. Our bodies are wise. They are hardwired to let us know when something's not right, whether that's a physical ache or an emotional ache, a psychological ache. And I've worked in a lot of different modalities, a lot. And what I have seen in every single one of them is that they all are so helpful in different ways. And sometimes we get drawn to one for a reason, or we're drawn to a different type of modality for another reason. Somebody said this was really helpful for them, so we try that because we resonate with their particular kind of ache and think if that helped them, then it might help me. What I've also witnessed is that sometimes people get help through those modalities, other times they don't. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. A lot of times what happens is someone comes for treatment and nothing's happening, nothing's moving, they're not going anywhere because they're sitting right at the threshold of feeling something really big. And as the practitioner, my role is to hold space for them to feel safe enough to drop into that pain, to drop into that discomfort on whatever level that discomfort is on. And as a body worker, what happens is we might sit there for a while. And the moment they feel safe, their being feels safe, it's like all of them can go into that pain and feel what's there, and the body begins to unravel, it begins to unwind, and the pain begins to release. When we don't process our ache, when we don't, especially the emotional type of ache, there's emotional wounding from other parts of our lives, things that we witness that's going on around us that hurts, and then we just like pack it down and stuff it down, and then we just get busy. We go on about whatever, all the myriad of things we feel obligated to do, and it's sometimes a convenient way to not pay attention to that uncomfortable stirring inside. As a practitioner and a body worker, a healer, my number one role is to help them listen. Help the person I'm working with listen to what's going on inside of them. What does your body want to tell you? What does that ache inside have? What's the message in there? Because once you can start to go into that, it can start to let go of its grip because it has your attention and now you're in communication. There's so much deep wisdom, and what I've seen, witnessed, observed over and over again in other people and in myself is that the moment we have the courage to kind of crash into that place or ease into it, and it starts to open up and unravel and communicate things to us, there's a whole new kind of life energy that begins to move. It starts off with something that's as simple as a breath. Like just your breath has a new capacity to expand inside of you. The facial expression might soften. You might let out a sigh, a release. The body might start to just move in ways. It couldn't before because it was bracing and hurting. I've learned for myself that to not get to that point where I'm like reliant on a practitioner to help me through it, the moment I start feeling restless or unsettled, I hold space for myself to go in and feel that discomfort. For me, a very effective way of doing that is just to start talking about it. So you've heard me talk a lot. If you're not new to this channel, you've heard me talk a lot about my ache in relationship to my husband navigating cancer. You've heard me talk about my ache related to climate change. And you've heard me talk about my ache about all the things surrounding navigating end of life and death and grief and loss. And the parallels between cancer and climate change. Cancer and all of the ways kind of things are breaking down in our natural environment. I created this channel to talk about the things that I care about related to our environment, and that pertain to thriving. But this channel and this platform of these videos has been a really powerful way for me to just hold space for and presence the things going on inside of me. And with each post, what I've discovered is that I move through to the other side of something. I'm not in the ache anymore. It's not stirring and taking up space in me. I move to the other side of it, and I have a new capacity to deal with whatever the moment brings. So for a lot of those posts, it was me trying to get back to my daughters who were dealing with their own grief related to watching their dad slowly wither away. It was me dealing with like all the feelings of like when someone starts to go through that hardship of chemotherapy treatment, or go through all of the thousands and thousands of hardships throughout the whole cancer journey. I needed to be present. I needed to be present as a care provider, a caregiver, as a partner, as a spouse, as a co-navigator. And I also had all of my own feelings to deal with in the midst of all of that. Talking about it for me, being transparent about it, helped me move through. And sometimes it was just me. I just needed to like drop to my knees and bawl my eyes out, and then maybe the insight would start to come and I would dialogue about it, and then I would feel like, oh, okay, I'm ready. Here I am. I'm ready to help. We're entering a time, if you're not already in it, you individually, you and your community collectively, we're entering a time where like we don't have the time to stay locked and trapped in the heaviness of what's going on. We need to give ourselves permission, and we need to find ways to drop into the discomfort so that we can harvest and resource the vital life force that's in there, so that we can bring that out and get back into action. That we can get back out into living in the world and being with our families, being in our communities, showing up in the way that only we can. Because there's only one of you, and there's only one of me, and we are both needed in this time right now. I cannot be you. I can't bring what you bring to this world. And you cannot be me, and you can't bring what I bring. But this world is better if you bring what you can bring and I bring what I can bring. And I am a total stand for that. And I really believe with all my heart that when we're bringing that, we're bringing our gift to the world, we're bringing the resource that's within the ache that we feel that's in response to the things that we care about. That's when we make a difference in the world, and that's when we truly thrive. We're like on fire with life because life is moving, and we can be in the midst of hard times, but when we're fully alive and thriving because life energy is moving through us, it shifts how we experience life. And I want you to live a life in which you feel like you're thriving, even in the midst of chaos, even in the midst of climate breakdown, even in the midst of whatever's going on. So thank you for listening today, and there's more to come. Just sending you a whole lot of peace. Oh, and stay tuned for my podcast that's coming up called From Ache to Action. I'll tell you about that more soon.